Richard Spade, everybody.
Robert, thank you, Robert. Thank you for that kind introduction. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Honestly, I need it.
Really?
Anytime.
How about right now?
Richard Spade, everybody. Thank you.
Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here.
Rich, I noticed there are a few more people here than normal right now.
Oh, you mean there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no algorithm that can really figure that out. It's totally random. We sat around, we've done the graphs, we've charted it. It didn't make sense.
Something happened around this time of day on a Saturday. People love this room.
And I think it's something about it's hot outside here that it's fresh air. It's right. You know, the big high ceilings. It's just, you know, people need a break.
It's the high ceilings.
Yeah.
It's the high ceilings.
Nice lighting. Through the friendly lighting, if you will.
Yeah.
You know. But it just so happens it coincides with also an actor taking the stage.
Oh, really?
I think that's random. I think it's a random act.
Sorry.
I guess you're all in here. Maybe next time we do this, we should just bring out a random actor. From local theater. But in this case, we'll make it specific. Ladies and gentlemen, Misha Collins.
I was walking out on stage, I'm like, there's something about that song I like. And I realized it's not just the dulcet tones of your voice and the incredible rhythm section, the music that's just like undulating with pure passion. But it's this Pavlovian response, because every time I hear that song, then a room full of people cheer for me. So
you're like a cat ringing a bell.
Right. I'm like the
ding, 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 and kibble falls. Ding, 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 kibble. Cut to Misha at the retirement home going,
Play that again.
do you have the sensation that if that song comes on the radio, do you immediately stop the car and get out and make it straight, like start walking? Is it trigger movement in you?
I can be on an interstate going 75 miles an hour and I jump out the door.
You're walking out. Yeah, good. By the way, real quick, I like the jacket.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, man. I like the fact at first I was like, I didn't know if it's a vest or a sweater. It needs to make a choice. Now I'm like, no. I actually really dig it. It's working.
Are we hunting?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What do you think this is? I'll give you a hint. This is from, the brand is a Norwegian.
Human skin.
It's wool.
What's that? It's Norwegian wool.
Right. That's what I thought too. And then the tag on it, it says it's 100% polyester.
Everything.
No, not the wool part.
That's how I feel, right?
No, they're jerking your chain. That's classic Norwegian. Yeah, I don't think it's polyester. That isn't the wool.
That was really good. I mean, it's not Norwegian, but it's very good.
It's an accent.
It's not offensive to anyone.
Your French accent in
Lucifer, that you taught me.
You've been getting a lot of compliments about that?
It's been a great day for me. That way, great. And keep going.
Don't you remember how?
Hey, now I keep adjusting this.
I'm sorry.
It's coming out.
I know.
What's going on?
Yeah. Thank you. He's my cuff guy. Everybody should have one.
Cuff fluffer.
Don't you remember when Frida, our makeup artist Frida, who's Swedish, was trying to describe a Cleveland steamer? And one of my favorite things that she was doing is she'd sort of be like, well, I'm like, Frida, wait, do you know what a Cleveland steamer is? And you go, well, yes, so you're in a couple, and you're with your mate, and your mate wants you to defecate on his sternum. It is dedicated to a city in Ohio called Cleveland. And you what we're doing at conventions. I guarantee. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Polyester himself.
Hi.
Hi.
It feels like it has the scratchiness of wool. Is polyester scratchy?
Yeah.
It is?
And it's hot. It makes you sweat.
I have been sweating, so maybe you're on something.
There you go.
Hi.
Hi, Misha.
Hi. It's so nice. You do. It's so nice to be back here. This is a kind of sentimental for me because my very first creation convention. Yours too? Now was that, were we at the same convention or no? It's been longer
You
than that, way longer than
you
that.
were before me, but
Okay.
mine was 10 years ago.
You were just 10 years ago. Yeah.
Just 10.
That's very recent.
We went hitchhiking.
Was in New Jersey and I came out on stage and Cherry Hill, New Jersey, yeah. Were you there? Really? You look even younger today. You've had a lot of work done and it really shows. I remember thinking, because I don't know if you've seen on the website, it says there's a panel. And traditionally, a panel is when there are a group of people discussing something on stage. But the folks who put the creation shows together don't know that. And so they just, like a lamb to the slaughter, push you out on stage all by yourself, and you have been up all night trying to learn about the show that you're on because you can't remember any of the details that you know you're going to be quizzed by the fans about. Like, Azazil's grandfather, who was that? And so it's kind of like that song is a Pavlovian positive response for me. Coming out on stage in New Jersey is also terrifying for me. Because it reminds me of my first convention. No, but then everybody was so nice. And you could see in everyone's eyes as they're looking up at you just how sorry they are for you. And that goes such a long ways, you know? I'm sorry, I'm in ramble mode. My first time I was in New Jersey, other than just driving through on the interstate on the way to my grandparents' house in Baltimore, was I decided I was going to ride, I was 16, and I was going to ride my bike from Boston to Northern Virginia to visit my girlfriend, because I didn't have a car. And it's a long ride, and if it's the summer and you take your shirt off, then you have like blistering sunburn, and you're kind of miserable. And I decided I was going to ride across the Tappan Zee Bridge, which was technically legal, and so I was halfway across, and the police came and got me. They brought me back over, and they held me at this like little police detention center, and they found a tow truck that would drive me across, and the guy told me about all the dead bodies he had pulled out of the river, and then I managed to ride on, and I got into my plan. I had a tent on the back of my bike. My plan was I was going to find a nice spot to camp, and it was like 4 o'clock, and I was coming into Trenton, and I thought I'll go through Trenton and out the other side. But what they don't tell you is that, like a glue trap for a mouse, Trenton is not something you can bike through. You get stuck there, and that's because the roads are paved with glass, and so you get a flat tire every 500 feet. And so I had all these patches for my tires, and it was like a pain in the butt. Take the wheel off, take the tire off, put on the patch, find a piece of glass, pull it out, and you go another few hundred feet, you get another flat tire. And I ran out of patches, and now it was like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and getting dark, and I had about $70 in cash. That was it. And the only place I could find to stay was a motel that you rent by the hour. And so I got a room, And as soon as I shut the door into my room, somebody knocks at the door. And I open the door, and it's this very scantily clad woman, very, very little clothing. And she asked if I was looking for her. And I said, not to my knowledge. But I knew what she was about. I was 16, but I wasn't that naive. And I figured, I only have 20 bucks, and I don't think that's going to go far enough. So, and then I shut the door, and a few minutes later, somebody else knocked on the door, and this guy was selling drugs. And he was like, "Are you looking for me?" And I said, no, thank you. And then I just I shut the door, did a little chain latch, decided I was just gonna not open the door anymore, and I just spent the night in there with my roommates, which were a bunch of ticks in the bed. It was refreshing. Anyway, so this was when Cherry Hill came along, I was like, oh God, New Jersey. Because this was my only experience of your beautiful garden state. I was like, garden, it's just glass. But today I went for a run in the park here. It was like miles and miles of beautiful trails out in the woods, deer, gophers. It was like a Disney movie. It was amazing. It really is the garden state. Thanks for having me back all these years later. Okay, enough of my reminiscence. Hi.
Hi. My name's Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
First time doing it, a little bit nervous. But I was wondering if there's ever a time in real life where you found yourself reverting to cats without realizing it.
You mean like, oh, that was so Cass of me?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that happens from time to time. Like every once in a while, if for example, I got pulled over for running a stop sign recently, and I was like, oh, come on, I like barely rolled through the stop sign, and the cop was kind of a dick about it, and so I smoked him. And it was just a reflex, I put my hand on his. And then I realized, actually the kids were in the back, and they were like, Dad, that was so Cass of you. It's just a smoldering pile of his uniform next to the car. And then I felt bad about it. Ended up sending a box of chocolates to his family.
That'll make up for it.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, I'm Julio. Oh my God, I'm so nervous. First of all, I want to say I really love Gotham Knights.
Oh, thank you.
So my question would be, other than not being pranked by Jensen and Jared on the set, what is the most amazing thing that happened in the set of Gotham Knights?
I've had a lot of really positive experiences working on that show so far. Coming off of working on Supernatural, I was like a little ambivalent. Like, do I want to do another series right now, or do I want to take a few years off because I was tired? And I just wanted to do something different. I think I have a short attention span, and I like to. What are you laughing? What was that about? Oh yeah, you have a short attention span. Can't focus on anything for 30 seconds. Very judgy crowd. And so but this show came along, and I was like, gosh, that sounds like it could be a lot of fun. And it ended up being so great that I have now changed my tune, and I'm thinking, oh no, I definitely want to work on. I'd like to. I hope we have another season or 2 or 3 on our show. The corporate winds are not blowing in our favor just because our network got purchased recently, and there's all of this other stuff going on. So we'll see. But I really loved it, and I would love to do more of it. I had a funny experience, which I've shared before, but I'll share again because I've run out of stories. I have this thing when sometimes I'll wake up from a dream and it feels like, oh, that is crystal clear. You need to implement whatever this was in your life. I've had dreams where I've had like art project ideas, writing ideas, and sometimes it's just so crystallized and it's so clear. When I wake up, I'm like, that has to be it. Like, we found a turtle and I'm bad at remembering names, and in my dream, over and over, I was repeating to myself, Misha, you have to remember, the turtle's name is Drydraluxlaloud. Repeat it back to me, Drydraluxlaloud. And I, in my dream, made myself repeat it over and over and over again. The turtle's name is Drydraluxlaloud. It's Drydraluxlalaud, Drydraluxlaloud, remember it. And so I woke up and I was like, honey, I'm really sorry, but our turtle's name is Drydraluxlaloud, and we had to stick with it. And then the name like had some sentimental value all of a sudden because it was like such a potent dream memory. And so then we got a boat and we named it Drydraluxlaloud. And when you go into a harbor, you have to get on the radio and you have to, I didn't think it through. So when you go into a harbor, you have to announce to the harbor master over the radio what your boat's name is. And most people are like, I'm coming in on Sea Breeze or something. And I would have to say, I'm coming in on Drydraluxlaloud. And they would say, can you spell that? And then I would have to spell it. And then they'd say, I'm sorry, can you spell that again? And so I would be clouding up the airwaves over and over again, lamenting, ruining the day. I listened to this dream. But I had a dream working on Gotham Knights, and it was a very clear dream, and it was how my character's arc should end at the end of the season. And so I called the producers, and I said, I'm sorry to be this actor. It's really annoying. You feel free to ignore me, but I had this dream of what should happen. And our showrunners are always together. And I was just on the phone with them, so I couldn't see them, but I know that they looked at each other and they rolled their eyes. Like, oh my God. Just don't say anything right now, Chad, about it. We'll just nod and smile and say, well, we'll think about it. But then I conveyed my dream and they ended up making that the art for the character. They were like, that's so weird. That's a very good idea. That solves a problem that we've been having with it. Thank you. So that was really cool. It was cool to have this like creative collaborative process on the show with everyone, you know, from costume design to the writers to the other actors. It was a lot of fun. Thanks.
Hi, Misha. My name's Pepper.
Pepper?
Yep.
Hi, Pepper.
I love Bridgewater.
Oh, thanks.
But in season 2, we discovered that it has to do with the Fey realm. And there's season 6 of Supernatural. There's an episode about the Fey realm. So I'm just wondering if there's a season 3, could you get Jensen on to yell fight the fairies?
I don't think we're saying that anymore. I don't think that's very PC. It wasn't PC even then, right? Even way back in the 20-teens, we weren't saying that. Yeah. I certainly will not do that. But thank you for asking. We did try to get Jensen on the show to play Batman on Gotham Knights. But he was too busy. Hi.
Hi, I'm Stacy. I'm from South Jersey.
Hi, Stacey.
Hi. My niece and I always text back and forth reels of you and Supernatural, and your voice is so different from Misha to Cass. How did you come up with the Cass voice?
It was a voice modulation software that they used in post-production. They thought that I sounded too much like a field mouse. And so they changed the pitch of my voice in post. I thought that Castiel was trying to communicate with Dean in the first episode that I appear in. Episode 401, Lazarus Rising. It's the only episode I remember the name of. And Castiel was trying to communicate with Dean before he took a human vessel, but when he did that, like the windows would blow out, or the television would explode, or whatever. So I thought, oh, it'd be cool that when he does take a human form, he doesn't have my normal squeaky voice, but he has this like deep, commanding voice. So I did that, and I also thought I was doing 3 episodes. I didn't think it was going to be a lifetime. So I guess I was probably like 7 or 8 episodes in, and I went to the doctors because I had a sore throat, and the doctor helped me figure out that it's because of this stupid voice that I was doing for Castiel. She was like, have you been yelling a lot? Oh, I see. Okay. So it caused me physical harm. And now that I'm saying it aloud, I feel like, oh, maybe I could sue Warner Brothers. Thank you for that flash of insight. Hi.
Hi, Misha. I was just wondering how you found out you got the role of Castiel.
Well, it was in a dream. I called Eric Kripke and I said, hear me out, I had this dream. That you didn't cast somebody else, but you cast me instead. And Eric said, no, that's not what we're doing. I don't remember. Nobody has ever asked me that question, and I assume my agent called and said, you got that role on that dumb show. And I have no idea, I have no recollection. I do remember auditioning for it. That I remember. I went in, it was very secretive. It was like a Marvel movie. They sent sides out. You know what that is?
Yes, yeah.
Well, you're obviously not a professional actress. Sides are the scene or 2 scenes or 3 scenes that an actor gets printouts of for the audition. So it's the material that you audition for. You go in and you do a couple of scenes in the character that you're auditioning for, and the casting director reads the lines of the other person opposite you, and they're just standing across the room. So you're basically acting opposite somebody who is putting no effort whatsoever into their scene. They're just reading it, they're bored out of their minds. There's usually a producer or a director sitting next to them texting on their phone while you do the audition, and you're like, is anybody paying attention? Why am I? But I got the audition sides, I prepared. It said it was for a demon. So I prepared in a very sinister character. I've never seen the show, so I didn't realize that demons are actually just like regular people on Supernatural. So I did this weird, sinister character. And then I went in and I did the audition once. Eric Kripke was there in the room along with Robert Ulrich, who was the casting director. And Robert, and we did 1 take, and Eric kind of looked at Robert like, I don't think so. And Robert did something that Robert has always been a champion of mine. He's a casting director, and he's always bringing me in for things. And I like tested, which means got really close on a bunch of pilots with him. But he's always like trying to get me apart. I can tell he was like a fan. And Eric, so Eric sort of gives this little glance at Robert, which I read as, get this kid out of here. And then Robert did something that he did a couple of other times for me, which was just like the sweetest thing in the world, which is he jumped up, he's sitting on the couch next to Eric reading lines, and he jumps up and he says, I'm sorry everybody, there's a couple of other people in the room. I'm sorry everybody, I can't deal with this. And he goes across the room, he opens the door to the hallway and he says, can you please keep it down out there? It is very distracting. We're trying to do an audition in here and nobody can hear themselves think. And he slams the door. Of course it had been whispered quiet out there. But it was his way of giving me a second chance. When otherwise the producer would have been like, don't let the door hit you on the way out, kid. And so then I was in there and Eric's like, well, we're stuck with this kid. Might as well tell him, all right kid, It's an angel, not a demon. So just do it again, but that way. Because they were trying to keep it a secret that they were adding angels to the show. They didn't want it to get out there in the fandom that they were adding angels. So then I was like, that's literally the opposite of what I prepared for. And so I just did this very like wooden deer in the headlights performance. And clearly Eric was like, that's it. That's our Castiel. And so the character was thusly born. Thank you.
Hi, Misha.
Hi.
My name is Nithya, and I'm from Corning, New York, really far from here. And my question is not about the show, it's more about your poetry book.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's the Some Things I Still Can't Tell You. So my favorite section...
Thank you for that little plug. For those of you who don't know the title of the book, it's Some Things I Still Can't Tell You.
So my favorite section in your book is Hope, Joy, Running, and Other Good Things. I live in the boonies, so I spend a lot of time outdoors. So the most profound poem that affects me, and I like to read it every time I feel down, is Suddenly, because it talks about, just being in the moment. Do you have any favorite? It could be anyone, it could be from any poem from the book, which really something that you go back to, or the experience, or the inspiration that has profoundly influenced you, or you hold close to your heart.
Well, there are a few poems in there that are kind of like that poem Suddenly, that are just about like pausing to appreciate the small thing in life. I think there's a poem in there, I can't remember what it's called, because I changed the title so many times. I Wish for This? Is it titled I Wish for This? I don't know what it's titled. Anyway, it's the I Wish for This poem, or the last poem, which is both of those are about my kids, but they're also about that noticing something in the moment phenomenon. I think that those two probably tie into things that have a lot of emotional impact for me, which is my kids and that reminder, that reminder to pay attention in the moment. There's this term in art called poetic disruption, and it's where you're going along in your normal life and then something pops up that like surprises you into paying attention in a different way in a moment. And those two poems are about that. But they're also about being in a fog, like going along on autopilot and resisting the gifts that life hands us along the way, and then suddenly being reminded, oh, wait a minute, this is a fleeting life. I better pay attention.
Thank you, Misha.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi. My name is Leah. I was wondering if you like watching what you've acted in on screen, or is it weird to see yourself on screen?
Well, I find myself very attractive.
He watches his own stuff and says it'll be his one. Well done. Yeah.
Everybody is like bringing, oh my God, I'm so happy. I'm so sorry. Just leave me alone. So, everybody is coming out. I'm flop sweating. I can't tell if I'm overheating or just embarrassed. Everybody's coming up to me and saying like, oh, thank you. You really are a fan. For those of you who can't see, it's got $100 bills on it. It'd be cool if you had one of these that was made out of $100 bills. That'd be a real fuck you to poor people.
She spent it on tickets to the con.
People keep coming up to me in the photo op line saying, can you do a look like Pedro Pascal. It's like suddenly this guy has worked his way into the collective consciousness as this, let's admit it, aging sex symbol. And everybody's like, well, Misha, you're aging. Why don't you try to be like Pedro Pascal? Pretend to be like Pedro Pascal. Someone brought a picture of Pedro Pascal into the photo ops. Man, that guy would really clean up at a convention, I'll tell you. Holy hell. What's that?
That is it.
What? I don't know. I don't want to talk.
Don't know. I'm too old to know.
What are we talking about? I'm watching myself on television. Yes, but only as foreplay. It's how I get in the mood, you know. I'll say, I'm sorry, do you mind if we just turn on, like, something from season 6?
Stonehenge Apocalypse.
The one season I'm not in, isn't it? That's season 7? Okay, I don't know. I never watched the show. I used to be absolutely, I got on this show 24, which was like a big phenomenon. I was so out, I didn't even have a TV at that point. Like I was not watching television at all. My agent was like, hey, we got to do this audition for 24. And I was like, oh, cool, what's that? And my agent was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? It's the show that everyone is talking about right now, Misha. But anyway, I got on that. Then we bought a television, and then I invited friends over to see my first episode, and I thought this will be fun. And then it started, and I realized, oh no, this was a terrible idea. There's nothing that I want to do less than watch myself on television, and even worse, watch myself on television with my friends around. So then I became incredibly nervous and uncomfortable, and I just started going to the kitchen and cooking for everybody. And like, oh, I wanted them out of my house, and I want to destroy that television. It was really uncomfortable for me. Now, like I started watching Gotham Knights with the kids. Time has passed. I've become inured to the pain of watching myself. Actually, that was the beginning of the arc, and now it just brings me immense satisfaction. And so now we're watching Gotham Knights, and I came on the screen, and I was like with the kids, and Wes gets up as soon as I come on and starts doing fucking push-ups. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Get back up here and watch your father on television. I'm famous, watch me. I'm trying to instill the right values in them, but it's hard. It's frustrating.
Hi, Misha, my name is Katie. I know you touched on it earlier, but I just want to say that Castiel's confession scene was revolutionary, and I don't think that in this fandom, and I believe it will live as longer than any of us, I think, honestly. I mean, it's going to go down in history. But my question is, if you could choose any message from any of your characters that you would want everyone in the world to hear, what would it be?
Well, I do think that Cass's message was largely one of acceptance, and he early on averred that sentiment. He was saying, he said, for instance, I am utterly indifferent to sexual orientation, and I think he genuinely meant that. Like, there was zero value judgment from him about how someone chooses or how someone is in the world. And I think that that's a really important message. And ironically, of course, I think it took Castiel a very long time to actually get to that place within himself. But when he did, and when that clicked for him, when that like intellectual understanding that I think he had finally penetrated to the reflexive, to his own self, then it was like transformative. And on an epic and even like spiritual level. And I think that that is this incredible challenge. Like we have a society that is in general, in spite of what we see, like with the pendulum swinging in the other direction, I think we are moving toward greater acceptance and greater tolerance and an openness for people to live as they want in the world. And yet, the challenge that we're all faced with is actually having that acceptance within our own selves. And Castiel ultimately, I think, ended up being an example of that, and I think that is really important. I do wish that we could have a lot more of that in our inner worlds and in our outer world, but if we all keep at it, eventually we'll get there, I think.
Well, thank you for being a big part of that, Misha.
Thank you. Hi.
My name is Nicole. I just met you. You're lovely. My question for you is about love languages. So mine is words of affirmation and quality time, but I was wondering if you think that Castiel has one, what you think that might be, and what yours might be if you feel comfortable sharing.
Castiel's love language is getting to ride in the front seat of the Impala. For him, that just means the world. I think mine, it's funny because I have I think I have different, I express love by making things for people, and it mostly manifests in cooking. And I do it for my kids. You know, I'll cook for them every day, several times a day. On the weekends I cook 3 meals a day. But even like on a rushed school morning, I'll get up and make waffles from scratch and chop up fruit and make it pretty and drizzle it with maple syrup and then they'll still be whatever, getting dressed or putting on the shoes or dragging their feet as kids do in the morning. And I'll say, hey kids, breakfast ready. And then if they're not there a minute later, I'll say, you little shits, I worked so hard to make this nice hot breakfast for you and you're letting it get cold again. So sick of you. And that's how I express it. I'm not sure what it is receiving though. I'm not sure what it is that I should have an answer for that.
Something to think about that.
That is something to think about. I'll try to find an answer.
I choose a cooking one too. I'm very into nutrition. I'm a dietitian, so I do present everything nicely. I understand.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Okay, good. I'm glad you approve. Do not serve for Twinkies. Hi.
Hi, I'm Amy. How are you?
Hi. Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I wanted to know where, I know you have lived in several different places. I wanted to know where was your favorite place you have lived, maybe like some cool tourism spots you like from that place or little city that tourists wouldn't know about. That makes sense?
Yeah, that does make perfect sense. Thank you. I really like living in Washington State. So when I was working on Supernatural, I was commuting across the border from Bellingham, Washington, up into the southern Vancouver area. And it's actually just such a pretty part of the world. I was living in Southern California for a long time, and I actually have this weird love-hate relationship with Los Angeles. Los Angeles has has so many brilliant people, so many great artists, so many forward-thinking people. It's also just like a mass of traffic, and all of the negative stereotypes that you have about Los Angeles from afar are abundantly true. They used to have this paper, it's no longer in existence, but it was the LA Weekly, and it was like the thing that you found out about happenings around town. And I first got there and I opened it up and I was like, oh my God, every single ad in this paper is for plastic surgery. It's like, that's it. So LA was a complicated place for me, but it was also just super cool, where you could kind of like imagine anything and make it happen, and that was really quite lovely. And also there's this different vibe on the West Coast than on the East Coast. Like in New York, the struggling, starving artist is like a motif that everybody holds up. It's like up the paragon of self-expression. And in LA, all of the artists are super rich. You're like, why would you want to be a struggling artist? I want to be a rich artist. And there's something kind of cool about that too. Like you go like play pickup basketball around the corner at the high school on weekend and be playing basketball with like all of these successful writers and set designers and people who are actually finding a way to make a living, making believe, which is a cool environment to be around. So I loved LA in some respects, and I had some really great creative projects there. But I think there was something about being in Bellingham, Washington that was, I don't know, it's hard to replicate. It was just like this beautiful town, right on the water, access to the mountains, it rained all the time, but you ended up kind of loving the moisture and the moss, and I don't know. So I don't really have anything interesting to say, but I talk anyway.
Interesting, thank you.
Hi.
Hi. I find it funny you call this judgmental when you judge me for watching Supernatural in 2 weeks, but anyway, my question is...
Wait, what do you mean?
You called me out last year for watching Supernatural in 2 weeks.
So, right, so that's not, that's not possible, right? Did you go into some sort of like hallucinatory state where you thought maybe only 2 weeks had elapsed, but really you were in a coma for 3 months?
No, it was 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yes.
360 hours of television?
Yes.
There's not that many hours. How many hours are in 2 weeks?
Barely.
Somebody has an iPhone? How many hours in 2 weeks? 336?
Yeah.
Okay, so we just fact checked you. 2 weeks, okay, 15 days. How? 42 minutes. I know they're 42 minutes, okay. So how many hours, somebody has an iPhone, how many hours of television is that? Obviously commercial free, right?
Yes.
Okay, so 304? It's only 204 hours of
Possible in 2 weeks.
Wait a minute, how many episodes of Supernatural were there? 327?
Yeah.
Okay, so my original stat was a little off.
Anyways, my question is...
Don't gloss over this. I am going, first of all, I'm going to express a little contrition here. I am sorry for questioning you. It is possible. You're still crazy.
Never said I wasn't.
But I humbly admit that it is possible to watch. That has to cause lasting damage, though. You're saying no, but of
I've been
course.
watching the show for 15 years, so like...
Well, okay, so that is a long-term damage is also long-term. What's that?
It's my comfort show.
It's your comfort show.
Yes.
Were you sleeping at all when you were watching during that? You were sleeping a little bit?
Yeah, like I got like 6 hours.
All right, so we got to that. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, my question is, if you could create an alcoholic beverage for Castiel and Harvey Dent, what would they be and what would you name them?
Well, Harvey Dent would drink something in the whiskey family.
Okay.
Because he's
What would you make with it?
he would drink like he would drink a very fine Scotch whiskey with electrum in it, which is an elixir for eternal life.
Yes.
And Castiel would drink, like a Long Island iced tea. But with a little bit of everything from the liquor store. So just he would drink it, and he would drink it in a gallon container. When we had this, when Dean was giving Cass some tips on how to get laid, and they were at a bar, there was a scene where they had beer. So this was the first time that Cass had had an alcoholic drink, to my knowledge. And so we were sitting there and filming in this little bar, and it was an actual dive bar. And they poured us pints of beer. And I thought it'd be funny if Pascal just like chugged it. So we did one take, I chugged the beer in the tape. We did another take, chugged the beer in the tape. And then I was like, whoo, a lot of beer. Okay.
Lightweight.
And then we did a little bit of adjustment on the cameras and went into the wide shot and did a take. And I drank the whole thing, and the director was like, oh, Misha, that was hilarious. That's great with the drinking the beer. Do that again on the next take. And rookie actor that I was, I didn't realize that the camera was not on me for the first 2 pints. And then we had to adjust the cameras again and go into my close-ups. And I really had to drink the beer. It was
How many
tough.
ounces of beer did you drink that day?
I drank the maximum number that could be held in a human male stomach.
You've never been to Oktoberfest.
But I did feel like throwing up. Thank you. Hi.
Hello, my name is Megan. My question is, what's your...
Yes, you're like, why the microphone is so close? What do I do? But you can always just take one little step back. You don't have to go into a limbo position. It would be funny if you just keep bringing it closer and closer, no matter how much she moves back, until she's pinned up against the wall. Sorry. You're welcome.
What is your current favorite hobby?
My current favorite hobby? Man, I don't know, but I've been having a lot of fun lately hobbying. I think that's a ridiculous word, honestly. Hobby, like, demeans whatever activity it is that you're doing, because it means it's frivolous. But I have been doing a lot of frivolous shit. And, I found this piece of amber in a stream with my kids, and I decided I wanted to make it into a pendant, because it has like a little seed in it.
Don't extract
And somehow that feels like poignant to me. So I decided I wanted to make it into a pendant. And I found a little jewelry making shop nearby. And a couple days ago I spent the day in this jewelry making shop. And it was so cool. It was just so awesome. This guy was just like showing me how to use all these tools and talking about the different materials and I have with me here in my hotel some wax that I'm molding to do some casting that'll become this little thing. So that's one thing. And then a couple days before that, I was in a woodworking shop trying to make chess pieces for my son, although it's a secret, I just realized.
He doesn't watch your videos. He doesn't watch you. So.
Anyway, so I've been trying to do more stuff with my hands. I really like spending time actually making things from time to time. And it, for some reason, feels like that happy place for me. So I have been doing some jewelry making, and I have been doing some woodworking of late. And I also promised some of the folks here working at Creation that I would mend their clothing, because I brought some sewing needles. So I will also be doing some sewing in the green room to prove a point.
Hi Misha, my name is Greta.
Hi, Greta.
I was wondering, if people came with a warning label, what do you think yours would be and what would Cass's be?
My warning label would be do not follow. It may sound like a good idea, but it's not. I used to have like a group of friends that we would get together and go for runs, and we would take turns, like there were 5 of us, and we would take turns charting the course for the run. And everybody would be like, when it was my turn to like pick the route for the run, everybody would be like, ugh. Because invariably it would be like, there would become a time during the run where I'd say, sorry everybody, I thought this trail went through. I think it's probably going to save us a lot of time if we go over the barbed wire fence. Or if we just take our shoes off, we can get through this swamp, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, Jared thinks my memoir's title, actually, I think it's a really great idea, and it probably does have to be this. Jared's idea for my memoir is a good idea, but then there's small font in between words. So it will, if you look closely, it will read, "It seemed like a good idea at the time." And I think that probably is my warning label. And then Cass's warning label is caution, will smite when angry.
Slippery one way.
When provoked. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your warning label?
Scatterbrain. We'll start one task and start 3 others at the same time and finish none of them.
That resonated over here. Yes. Power, not finisher. Yes! That was a great response. Love that.
Probably focus perfectly on me.
You may have a soulmate over here. Hi.
Hi, Misha. My name's Ashley, and I watch Gotham Nights with a group of friends and I through a Google Meet every Tuesday.
Oh, really? How sophisticated? How high tech?
And we noticed that we've gotten to see Harvey Dent wake up on his right side twice, which is his dark side. And it made us wonder what side you sleep on, or do you sleep on your back?
Very interesting question. A bit personal, wouldn't you say?
Come on, it's
Not stopped you before.
Chris Schmelke recently told me how he sleeps. And he said he sleeps on his stomach. And I was like, you're a fucking animal? What are you talking
So do I.
about? Sleep on your stomach?
Yeah.
What are you, a baby?
Maybe.
Don't correct me. I sleep, I mostly sleep.
Naked rolling
I think I go both ways. So if I say that, then I get in trouble. So I have to be very careful.
That's too late.
Someone is just to get me is
Yep.
gonna like just
It's already
out of
been
context
updated.
that one little phrase
It's already
and
all over
send
the
it to
internet.
just Jared. And be like, once again, I had this. Was it last year? I think it was last
Yeah,
year.
this
in
year,
Jersey.
yeah.
I had an unfortunate slip of the tongue, bad choice of words, idiotic moment, and that then precipitated. Are you aware of what I'm talking about? Yes. Okay, so it then precipitated this whole host of. Well, it precipitated somebody tweeting something that said Misha Collins has come out as bisexual. And I was like, oh, no, that's not what I meant, I'm sorry. And then that got picked up by The Advocate, and it got picked up by Newsweek, and every other news outlet online. And then I got a call from Warner Brothers, and they were like, hey, so, kind of a tricky situation here. And I was like, yeah, I'd like to somehow, they said, well, is there a world in which you could just let it go? I was like, now I have to pretend to be of a sexual orientation that I'm not for the rest of my life? Okay. It's just, it would be better for the show if you...
Show was already over.
Fun times. Thanks. But I actually, I'm a mostly back sleeper. That's my primary position. I'm not a baby, no. I'm getting heckled for how I sleep. I saw this hilarious comedian, I can't remember her name, it was just a little segment on this. And she did this whole skit. It was all about, she went over to some friend's house and she walked upstairs and she said, which side of the bed, it was a couple, and she said, which side do you spawn to the couple? Which side of the bed is whose? And they were like, whatever. Just go to bed. We sleep on whatever side. And she was like, what? What is wrong with you people? Are you animals? Great. Anyway, but then I also often will sleep on my right side. How about you?
Mostly on my side.
Which side?
Probably my left.
Probably. You're not sure, huh?
I talk and turn a lot before I fall asleep.
Yeah, I get that. Hi.
Hi, Misha. I'm Callie.
Hi, Callie.
I want to know where you get your confidence from.
Oh, guts.
It's funny because it's true. Oh my God.
Misha Collins comes out again. Admits to being an addict.
You think you'd know by now?
I think it.
Sexual addict.
I think if you get up on stage in front of a large group of people with a microphone, then you have to either fake it or you get booed off the stage. So I went with faking it. Do you feel like a confident person?
I think I am, yeah.
Yeah. So where do you get it?
By accepting my humanity.
Oh. What about for those of us who are not human? It's tricky. That doesn't apply to everyone, right?
Well, accepting your flaws. Computers have flaws too.
Yeah, thank you for acknowledging that. I did hear a piece of wisdom once that I thought was really nice about acting, because actors often have struggle with anxiety. Stage fright is a very real thing. Even you can get it in front of the camera. It can show up big time at auditions. And the bit of wisdom was, this is not about you. You're just in service of this project. You're in service of this art. So stop making it about you. And I thought, that was really brilliant. It doesn't work for me because I'm so full of myself, but I can imagine that being very effective for other people. And it is actually, I think, very true. Like if you feel like what you're doing is somehow in service to others rather than in service to your own ego or about puffing yourself up, then suddenly it becomes much easier. There was a point where, oh Jesus, fuck. When did you sneak off?
They actually came up.
I was actually saying something earnest.
I know.
And I very much do not want you hearing me talk like that.
Yeah,
That is not.
Talking about yourself.
When I talk about myself, I stop being able to hear anything. It's tunnel vision, tunnel hearing. I just see this white glowing image of my own self hovering in front of me. It's amazing and quite transcendent.
It's just a poster.
Well, unfortunately, Richard can't hear anything, so he missed the whole bit. So
What?
yeah.
I'm sure it was meaningful. Did you finish your answer?
No, I'm not going to finish my answer.
You're saying something meaningful.
Yes, I'm not going to do that in front of you. I have too much
We're
to
like even more that they already do.
Hey, Rob, back up. We're not even here. We're not even here. We're not even
Okay,
here.
now I have to visualize myself again.
There's posters.
You're in a bright white light. Wearing a Speedo.
Okay, this is working for me. This is working.
You're shaved from head to toe. Go with it.
Keep going, Rich. I like it.
Works for me. You look like a Ken doll. In all the ways everybody's thinking you look like a Ken doll.
No, but really, finish your meaningful comment.
Yeah, go ahead. No, we're not even here. I'm sorry about that. Sorry about the Ken doll.
Right now.
We're not even here. We're not here.
Go ahead.
I see you. You're right there.
We're not. No, we're not.
People have often said that the trick, when you're on stage, is to picture the audience naked, right? That's a fallacy. It doesn't work. I've tried it a million times. I actually tried it when I first got out here. It was kind of, but
I mean,
But if you do, this is genuinely very effective. Have you done any kind of like meditation?
I have,
Yeah, so you understand this. If you do visualize yourself naked, it's very empowering.
Especially if you look like
Chris
you're
is talking about it. Yes. It's very real, it's very helpful. Okay, now we're done.
We're done? I can't believe that was your heartfelt answer. It was like, we were right in the pocket with our whole picture you knew.
Yeah.
Strange.
If there were pockets.
How was the panel overall?
This is a great crowd, one of my favorite crowds.
Oh,